What is up, YouTube? Welcome to Panfro Games, and today I'm showcasing my master's guide for Sylveon. We're going to be covering the best moves, go in detail on each move, the best item builds, and how to play Sylveon in general. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe for Sylveon and I, as we would really appreciate it. And I have to say, Sylveon is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, definitely my favorite EV evolution. So I was stoked when this Pokemon came out, and oh my god, Sylveon is incredible. I think personally Sylveon is like an S tier Pokemon overall. It can be played in top, bottom, or jungle, can win lane easily, has an incredible power spike at level 4 and level 8, and can snowball so easily and be a threat in every stage of the game. So yes, this Pokemon is worth your 10,000 Aos coins and 100% worth mastering, because this Pokemon will climb you to master rank. So now we're going to just dive into the move overview. Sylveon and Eevee have different boosted auto attacks and passive abilities. Sylveon's boosted auto attack becomes a boosted attack with every third attack, dealing increased damage and increasing the user's movement speed for a short time when it hits. It's a pretty nice ability to have just to get the extra movement speed, but besides that, there isn't anything too special. Eevee's ability is adaptability. Whenever Eevee deals or receives damage, special attacks increase by 5% for 1.5 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. And Sylveon's ability is Pixelate. Every time the Pokemon deals or receives damage, its special attack and special defense are increased for a short time. The special attack and special defense are increased by 2.5% for 1.5 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. So the longer you're in battle, you're attacking and taking damage, the stronger your attacks are going to be, but also the more special attacks you can take, which makes Sylveon an absolute monster in the game of sustain. At level 1, Eevee will learn Swift, which is a 7-second ranged attack. You shoot 4 stars at the opposing enemies, dealing damage. This move is interesting as one it can miss, which is funny because Swift should not miss like in the main series, but also it will go around you and then shoot forward from your starting position wherever you're aiming. So it's overall not a great move, but luckily you don't have to deal with it for too long. Eevee's other level 1 move is Baby Doll Eyes, which is a 5-second ranged attack. Stare at an enemy of Baby Doll Eyes, dealing damage and decreasing their attack and movement speed for a short time when this move hits. This is Eevee's soft form of crowd control, as the slow is pretty massive and will lower their damage, which means you can approach the enemy with Swift and try to finish them off and hopefully hit level 4 as soon as possible. At level 4, Sylveon learns Mystical Fire, which is a 7-second dash. Create 4 small flames while leaping in the designated direction. The flames shoot towards enemies one by one, dealing damage and decreasing their special attack by 15% for 1 second, stacking up to 4 times. Each time a flame hits, reduce the cooldown of this move, and after the first flame hits, additional flames on the same target deal a bonus 25% damage. And at level 10, you gain an additional flame. This move is actually really good, and it's pretty crazy how this move will hit opponents for you without you targeting, as the move itself just is a dash, and then 4 flames or 5 flames will appear around you. And then when you're near an enemy, those flames will auto-target and hit them. So while you're doing this move, you can actually use your auto attacks at the same time. You just need to be close enough to the opponent so your flames will hit them. And the cool thing about this move is that it's a dash, so you can be going forwards or backwards, left to right. You can be dodging. You'll be very mobile in combat with this move. And it's really good in the early game. At level 4, this move will destroy an opponent's lane. Honestly, Sylveon really reminds me of a Lucario, but at range, and which is completely devastating. Mystical Fire is a pretty awesome move. The downside of this move is, though, you do not get to pick what target you want to hit with this move. So you can be hitting opponents, you could be hitting wild Pokemon, you can just be hitting a Pokemon that has too much HP instead of the Pokemon you want to be targeting that's on the lower side. So there is a minus to this move, and you cannot control it. Hitting B or A does not matter. Overall, this move is very useful and definitely viable in certain builds. At level 4, Sylveon can also learn Hyper Voice, which is a 5-second area attack. Unleashes an attack of multiple sound waves that deal damage when they hit. The damage dealt increases the further the target is from Sylveon. Every time a sound wave hits, enemy special defense is reduced by 50, only affecting sound wave damage though, and the next sound wave's damage increases. When you are near your opponent, you're going to do less damage. You're going to be doing 40% of your special attack. But when you are far away from the opponent, you're going to be doing 67% of your special attack. And at level 10, increases the number of sound waves by 1. This move is, I'm going to be real, the best move on Sylveon. This is your go-to attack move. Hyper Voice is incredible, as you do so much damage to any Pokemon that is in the way of Hyper Voice. I will say it is a little bit tricky to get used to it, because when you are using Hyper Voice, you cannot use your auto attacks, and you cannot cancel the move. Funny enough, even when you get knocked up, you'll still be doing Hyper Voice, which is actually a really good perk. So if you get hit by a Surf, you're still going to be doing Hyper Voice, so you can probably actually kill the Blastoise. And you are committed to that direction. So if you put Hyper Voice in the wrong direction, you are committed to that direction, and you're going to have to move yourself in a way. However, this move is phenomenal because not only is the damage great, but the range is phenomenal. The further they are from you, you do more damage. So you don't have to dive in and to do massive damage. This move is not only just great at shredding Pokemon, but also taking away objectives like Dreadnought or clearing bees very quickly. And it's just so good and applies so much pressure. At level 6, Sylveon can learn Calm Mind, which is a 10-second buff. Sylveon quietly focuses their mind and calms their spirit, increasing movement speed, special attack by 40%, and special defense by 10% for a short time. And at level 12, one time while using this move, if the Sylveon is hit by an enemy's move, the damage is completely nullified and Sylveon's granted a shield. And the shield is based on 90% of your overall special attack. That is incredible. And this move is so good. Increases your movement speed, increases your special attack, increases your special defense. This is a perfect move for Sylveon, and I think this is the best move that goes in your secondary attack slot personally. I think Calm Mind's incredible. It goes well with both Mystical Fire and Hyper Voice. You really can't go wrong with it, and the damage and movement speed is just too good to pass up on at the moment. Instead of Calm Mind, Sylveon can learn Draining Kiss, which is a 10-second sure hit move, which means it does not miss. Blow a kiss at the enemy that goes back and forth between Sylveon and the target multiple times. When the kiss touches Sylveon, restore HP. When it hits the enemy, deal damage and decrease their movement speed for a short time. If Sylveon and the enemy move too far away from each other, the kiss will disappear faster than normal. So the damage is 26% of your special attack, while your healing is 15% of your special attack. And at level 12, increases the amount of HP this move restores, and it also increases your healing from 15% to 22.5% of your special attack. This move is actually pretty great for your sustain for Sylveon. It's really good, honestly. It does damage, it heals you. It's great for just those team fights. It's also just great so you don't miss an opponent and you're essentially guaranteed to kill once this hits someone if they're low enough. The only issue with Draining Kiss is it does not increase your special attack. Essentially, it's just not as good as Calm Mind. And this move is really good, so that says a lot about Calm Mind in my opinion. I think Draining Kiss does have some viable builds to it, but I don't believe you'll be using Sylveon to their highest output if you were to select a Draining Kiss build. At level 8, Sylveon can learn Unite move Fairy Frolic, which is a buff. Jump into the air and become briefly invincible. The moment Sylveon lands, deal damage to enemies in the area of effect and restore Sylveon's HP. For 10 seconds afterwards, 50% of damage dealt by Sylveon is converted into HP, and the damage of this move is based on 104% of your special attack. So this does a lot of damage, and the fact that you're healing after you use the move, after you're already invincible, pretty much makes Sylveon into a tank here, an virtually unkillable tank, and you're doing tons of damage with either your Mystical Fire or your Hyper Voice. So it makes Sylveon into an absolute beast that can get pentakills, and it's really good. I have stolen objectives like Zapdos and Dreadnought by using this move as well. So definitely want to save this for one of those big moments. And here is Sylveon's item build. So this build can be applied to any sort of moveset combination, because even if the moves are different, the end result of Sylveon's goals are the same. Is Sylveon is a bit squishy, so you don't want to be in the middle of a fight. You want to be as far as possible while doing damage, and if someone comes up to you, you want to be able to take those hits so you can escape or beat them down with your raw special attack. So Buddy Barrier is necessary as one, this gives us better early game with increased HP, and Buddy Barrier also gives us that shield. So when we hit level 8, we'll start becoming an unstoppable tank when we have our Buddy Barrier activated, when we use our ultimate. It's just overall great for team fights as well. One of the best items in general in the game right now. Focus Band will give us that raw defensive stats that Sylveon does need for the early and the late game. Most importantly, the recovering of 14% HP is phenomenal. This just gives Sylveon an extra life, especially if you're not using a Draining Kiss build. You want some sort of HP regen on your Pokemon, just so you don't immediately get destroyed, especially in the early game. And last but certainly not least is our damage item, which is Wise Glasses. Of course, you want this to be at level 20 to have the max passive. Currently, I do not. However, running the numbers, Wise Glasses does end up beating Choice Specs. If you don't have Wise Glasses at 20, you can use Choice Specs at 20, but Wise Glasses ends up being better because you get the flat increase of special attack by 1%, which really scales well with Sylveon's attack. And of course, you get additional special attack on top of that. And Sylveon does already tons of damage, so it's more important to focus on defensive stats than offensive stats for this Pokemon. And when we're going to be talking about active items in battle, Eject Button's going to be the best item 9 out of 10 times. However, if you are running the Hyper Voice set, you can run Fluffy Tail, as Fluffy Tail will make Hyper Voice do massive amounts of damage in clearing objectives even faster than it already is. It's already hard to imagine being faster currently, but you know, it's just a possibility. It's definitely worth running. So that is the best item build for Sylveon for no matter what our move set is. Now that we have our item build down, it's time for our move build. And the best move set is Hyper Voice and Calm Mind. Hyper Voice does crazy amounts of damage, hits multiple enemies. It does so much damage in team fights. It is a pentakill move. It is incredible for removing objectives like Zapdos and Dreadnought. It cannot be beat. It is good the moment you get it level 4 until the very end of the game as well. Straight up just the best moveset. If you were not going to pick this move, I would go Calm Mind and then Mystical Fire and then Mystical Fire Draining Kiss. So those are our 3 viable builds. I do not think Draining Kiss and Hyper Voice is viable. I think they're completely opposite moves for each other personally. I just would not try it out. You can test out the other 3, but Calm Mind is a necessity in my opinion, and then Hyper Voice damage just does so much more damage than Mystical Fire, and Mystical Fire only hits one Pokemon. You can't control who it's going to hit, and it's just not good for team fights at the end of the day or for clearing objectives. It's still a good move, it's just not as good as Calm Mind, unfortunately. So the most important part about Sylveon is hitting level 4 as soon as possible, because the moment you hit level 4, you're going to get a massive damage spike, and whatever move you pick, Hyper Voice or Mystical Fire, will be immediately powerful and will be great for taking out opponents. Especially opponents who have 3 stages of evolution, you will be able to destroy them. So if you're in lane, you will be able to just start dunking on the opponent. You could even win 1v2s under tower. It actually gets pretty crazy with what you can do, especially if Hyper Voice, as it hits both opponents at the same time. If you are jungling, you're going to hit level 4 the moment you beat the first buff, so then you can immediately start ganking. I wouldn't even wait till level 5. I would do a level 4 gank because your power spike is that strong, and they have to respect the Sylveon or they will die. It reminds me a lot of Lucario in a way, but a ranged Pokemon, which is terrifying to think of. And I honestly think Sylveon is in that S tier. So after you win your lane, because you most likely will win your lane if you get to that level 4 and you play correctly, you want to rotate to bottom. If you're in jungle or top, you want to be in bottom, and you need to confirm that Dreadnought. A lot of situations that I'm in when I'm playing in solo queue, I usually have Sylveon at level 7 or 8 just from laning, which is pretty crazy because I end up just killing my opponents so many times. So if you have level 8 when you get your ultimate ability and you're at Dreadnought, you're pretty much guaranteed going to get it. And I would always recommend using your ult for Dreadnought time, as it's just going to be incredibly valuable. And it gets to a point where you always just want to be with your team, always want to help them farm and help with Rotom and Dreadnought. And your goal in team fights is to stay away from the enemies. You don't want to be in the middle of the enemies. You don't want to get hit by any sort of CC. But if you do, you can use, you know, Calm Mind to increase your defenses, and even higher level Calm Mind will let you avoid a move completely, which is pretty insane. So you do have some ways to get around from enemies being on top of you and avoiding damage, but overall you want to sort of be on the outskirts of the fight and running around back and forth, just sort of strafing with Calm Mind and Hyper Voice, and just making sure the enemy never actually touches you, or if they do touch you, you make sure they pay for it with their lives. Sylveon is just overall an incredible Pokemon, and it can take some time to learn this Pokemon. This Pokemon can be a little bit tricky. Both movesets are not very straightforward with Mystical Fire or Hyper Voice, but practice makes perfect. And personally, I think the hardest part about Sylveon is being able to pick Sylveon, as I think a lot of people have figured out this is truly an S tier Pokemon. And there we have it. That is how you play Sylveon in Pokemon Unite in Masters. Sylveon's an absolute monster. Sylveon is easy S tier Pokemon. Great top, bottom, jungle, Hyper Voice, Calm Mind, absolute destruction. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, and I really appreciate if you subscribe if you're new here. And I'll catch you guys next time with more Pokemon Unite action. Peace out, and have a great one.